right, Jaylo.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. What?
Is there anything more you want to say?
No,
Well,
I said I'm doing good.
Well, it's a good episode, babe. It's very short.
We have more to say than that.
Good.
I have more to say than that, but no, I'm doing just fine.
I just logged off a Clubhouse.
Yes.
You just got out of the shower.
I'm doing fabulous, darling.
Nice.
Fabulous.
What were you listening to in there?
I was just listening to the music that I like.
Do you ever feel like you should expand just beyond your playlist, your liked one?
Of course, but sometimes when I feel like I want to listen to my jams, I listen to my jams. I don't think there's any problem as long as you have some music every day, even if it isn't, even if it is just your stuff. I see no problem with that. I mean, yeah, actually the other day I was listening to some Hawaiian music.
I don't remember that.
That's because you weren't here.
Okay.
I told you. Remember that day when I told you that there was some kind of flooding going on in Hawaii? And
I do, yes.
That was the day that I was listening to some Hawaiian stuff.
New stuff or older music?
I'm sure some of it was new that I didn't hear before. Because it's been if you don't count last year, right? That I listened to some Hawaiian things. It's been like years and years and years before that I was listening to a Hawaiian station. And the only way that I could get it was if I was actually in Hawaii. But, now that technology is more advanced and music is literally at our fingertips.
Let me talk a little bit about you.
Uh-oh. What is it?
Before you moved into this apartment,
yes,
you lived in a place with some conservative Christians, and I was not allowed over there.
Well, the only reason why I didn't feel comfortable bringing not just you, but anybody over is because I had roommates, and every time I would tell my roommate, hey, I need to have somebody over for a little bit, and they would ask me, well, how long are they going to be here? And, and they would make arrangements to either leave or stay in the room. And it was very awkward.
Cool.
So
well, we would have just hung out in your room, babes.
Yeah, but they had rules when I moved in that I wasn't allowed to have a man in my room with the door closed.
That is so crazy to me that you are part of that whole community of Christianity to where there's all these bizarre rules when you're living with somebody and you're in your late 30s. But that's not why I brought this up. Well, maybe we'll just...
Well, there is a reason for that, but I don't know that it's the right time to talk about all that.
Maybe we'll go into that on Jaylo Loves Jesus at some point.
All right.
But until then, because of this...
Yeah.
I am wondering, and maybe I should have asked when you were in this situation or before now, how did you listen to music? Was it just over the radio, or did you have audio cassettes or CDs when you were living there?
I was on the internet a lot. So I was on the internet a lot, and I was on YouTube, so I wasn't without music. I just wasn't with constant music. That's
interesting because I know how hard it is to use your computer based on seeing you operate it.
Well, it's because it's so slow. It's not, and also too, there was music, but my roommates were using their phones for that. So there are times where I would be in the kitchen or the living room and I would hear what they were listening to.
No, but I'm talking about your own jams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not too terribly awful. I mean, it's not like it takes 100 years for it to be working. No, I mean, I have...
Okay.
Oh.
Keep going, babes.
Yeah, but would you agree that you've gotten somewhat spoiled with how advanced our technology is, where things are voice activated and, apps are at our fingertips and what have you. Don't you think that in some ways we've gotten a lot more spoiled and we're not willing to be patient with things, because I know that technology is great, but it doesn't always work for us.
To a certain extent, but you also are being kind of dragged, kicking and screaming by me into the modern age of digital technology.
Yeah, but that costs money. I'm thinking about the cost of it.
Right, but I've offered to help you figure out ways to.
Yes, I know.
Done easier.
I know.
I know of a few ways you could get this technology for free, babes. Yeah. But that's always been rebuffed. Always going, no, wait, no. That is so weird to me that a music addict would go a long time in the situation that you were in.
Well, I didn't really have a choice at the time. I just had to make use of what I had.
No, but you could have bought CDs or audio cassettes.
I could go all over, I could go and think of, coulda, shoulda, wouldas, but...
But none of this occurred to you at the time, though.
Well, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of, I don't know. I didn't have the money for that, and it's...
But you have friends who could have copied stuff on the audio cassette or even burned you a CD.
Well, I do have music on my own computer. It's not like I don't have anything on there. I don't have to go on the internet to listen to it. I also have MP3 stuff on I even have movies.
Right, but what I'm saying is that computer is very hard to use.
No, it's not.
Seems like it to me, babes. Okay. Somebody's getting offensive. I love you, babes.
Really?
What?
Really?
Yes, babes.
Really?
Yes, Jaylo. I do. Okay.
Okay.
We can drop it. I was just curious about that.
No, I mean, you just kind of you use what you have when you don't have the resources, and that's what I was doing, and I made use of it. I wasn't completely bored out of my mind.
I'm glad to hear.
I was listening to a lot of streaming services. Well,
really?
No, I mean, I was on Netflix a lot. I signed up for Hulu later. So it wasn't like I was bored, and I was on YouTube a lot too. So.
I love movies, but they're completely different from just the musical experience.
I'm talking about media in general.
Okay, can I get a kiss? Yes. Give me a kiss. Because you're getting worked up. Give me a kiss. You're being very offensive. Come over here.
Very offensive or defensive?
Whatever. Come over here. Give me a kiss.
No.
Come on.
You have to make me first.
Okay, come on. Okay. Don't make me be like Robert Crumb's brother.
Give me a good reason why.
Because I don't want to be like Robert Crumb's brother. No, because I love you. Come on. We'll get to that in a little while.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about when it comes
I hope so.
Yes.
We got up this morning, and I think I woke you from your slumber.
Yeah, but it's okay. I was kind of almost on the verge of waking up, but I wasn't quite there yet. Yes. And I thought I was going to go back to sleep, and I think I gave myself at least another 30 minutes or so. You
said an hour, and then 25 minutes later, you're
yeah, it wasn't even an hour. I was like, oh, okay. I think I'm awake now.
We hung out, talked. You gave me a massage. It's fun.
Yes.
Yes.
We also talked about what we saw yesterday.
It sounds like you want to get into that now.
Well, why don't we start with DS9, and I'll let you take the lead on that, and then we can segue into the other stuff. Okay.
Let me start. I'll just give talk about Odo, since it's kind of quick.
Okay.
But it will come up later in the series.
Yes.
Even though there's not a lot left.
Yeah, there isn't a lot left.
Odo's now cured of the disease, and Dr. Bashir informs him that it turns out that you infected the other founders because Section 31 came up with the disease that is killing your people.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Captain Sisko and says, are we going to give this cure to the founders because we caused this disease?
Mm.
The emissary explains that because of the war, the Federation has decided that it's not a good idea.
Mm.
And he says, listen, normally I wouldn't ask this, but I just want you to promise me that you're not going to go against me on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Odo agrees. He's about to leave the room, and he says something that I've always liked, but I'm going to butcher it here. Looks at Sisko and he's like, it's funny the Federation would denounce Section 31, but they'll still use them to do their dirty work. What did you think of that?
Yeah, it seems very complicated, right? It's like, well, if you don't like Section 31, which is, and they're claiming that it's not that Section 31 is not a part of the Federation, right?
Yeah.
Because the Federation is supposed to do good things for Bajor.
For people in general.
For people in general, but yeah, it seems very complicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my man Bashir and Ezri finally get together a little bit, do the nasty.
No. They just make out in the turbo lip. That's all they do.
Oh, I thought they hooked up the night before. And it was just not on camera. But we're supposed to believe that they
Bubs, oh, come on.
I guess not.
Go on with this.
They made it on the turbo left.
Everybody saw. Miles saw.
And War pushes the down button on the turbo left so this goes down with the lights. They get a new ship. I forgot the name of it, but Admiral Ross quickly changes the name to the Defiant, which is a symbiotic thing. Or
symbolic thing?
Symbolic thing, yes.
Symbiotic?
I don't know, babes.
You're thinking about the symbiont.
Yes.
It's symbolic.
Symbolic, babes.
That's okay. That's why I'm healed.
Oh my goodness. But it's now called the Defiance. Kira goes with Damar and Garrick to Cardassia. They're supposed to rendezvous with a bunch of other troops who are going to help them. They beam down to the planet, and the ship that they were on was quickly destroyed. Weyoun uses this as evidence to say, listen, Damar is dead. We crushed all of his forces. He's gone. We now have control of Cardassia. Problem for him is, because they didn't die, Garrick was able to get them a good hiding spot in his old home that the family maid still lives in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she's an old lady.
Yep. She's helping them out and letting them stay in the basement. One day she comes back from being outside and she's like, you guys are heroes. People are talking on the street about how great Damar is and about how he's not really dead. Yeah. He's going to rise up against this.
Yep.
Kira thinks to herself, well, we could actually use this in our favor. If we make a good attack, it'll really inspire the people. They go to this Jem'Hadar office area and blow it up. There's a few problems along the way, but they get the job done. Damar is seen, and he encourages people to fight back for what's theirs. Something else that's going on in this episode. Yes. Quark gets a communication from the Grand Nagus.
I enjoyed this side plot.
Oh, I didn't.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was kind of a break from all the war stuff. But
I really liked, my favorite thing was the stuff with Damar.
Wow.
It probably would have been Odo if it was a little bit more prominent in the episode instead of just like 2 scenes.
Okay.
But it's good. It's okay. There was a rainstorm on Ferenginar that's worse than usual, and it's causing problems with the communication.
I mean, really bad.
Yes. Grand Nagus Zek says that he's going to retire and move to Risa with Quark's mom.
Which is very strange.
Yes. But he wants to make Quark the new Grand Nagus.
Or that's what he thought.
Yes. He's very happy about this. Brent comes there and is giving him a pedicure, bribing him.
A pedicure.
But he explains to Quark that there's been a couple of rule changes on Ferenginar, and the Grand Nagus now has to pay taxes, plus he has a council of people that he has to get approval from. He's not just the leader by himself, but he's still a very powerful person, or else Brent wouldn't be, sucking up to him.
Yes.
Quark is furious about this. You're about to say.
No. I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay. And he's even thinking about turning down the job. We should say that by this point, he already sold the bar to your man, Rom.
My man, Rom?
Yes. Okay. At a reduced rate. But he thinks that the Ferengis are getting too far away from business. And Somebody's playing with a box.
It's a container.
Okay. How's it going over there, babes? What was that? That was a comb?
That was my comb.
Okay.
You stay on twack.
Okay. Anyways, he's like, I'm going to
Yes.
reject this. And this is going to go down in history.
Yeah, I'm going to give him peace of my mind.
Zek comes to the station, and because of the problem with the communications, he actually thought that he was talking to Rom. Mm-hmm. So Rom ends up becoming the new Grand Nagus. Mm-hmm. And gives the bar back to Quark, and he's like, this is where Ferengis will make their last stand.
Yeah.
And I suppose you're going to give me the bar back and not even ask me to return the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that happens. The other thing of note in this episode, which I did not like, but the scene played better watching it again. Obviously, the Federation has to go to war, or is in war, but has to make, some defensive moves. Mm-hmm. Before they can leave on the new Defiant, Cisco goes back to his quarters and finds out that he knocked up Cassidy Yates.
She's pregnant. Yes.
She's puegos. And is basically saying, oh, our baby is doomed because of what the prophet said. And he's like, trust me, nothing's going to happen to the kid. And that's where the episode ends.
Yes.
Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. What did you think about it?
I did too. The Damar thing, I still don't know what to think of Damar. I don't know if I like him. I don't know if I hate him. I don't know if it's in the middle. I can't figure him out. But yeah, that's interesting. And I thought the side plot was funny with Quark, but I like some of the funny Ferengi stuff. But
it felt a little bit too 90s sitcom for me. Somebody gets a piece of information and it turns out to be wrong.
Yes.
And based on this wrong information, they start doing things because they're beginning to live beyond their means. Right? Mm-hmm. It felt too predictable. Not just now, but when I watched it the first time.
Okay.
Yes. But you enjoyed it.
I did. I did.
What about the stuff with Cisco and Cassidy Yates?
I was surprised. I guess I was surprised. I mean, I thought she might get pregnant, but I was surprised. I wasn't expecting that, actually.
This is something I don't like in the show because it also felt predictable. Yesterday, after watching it, I'd say kind of what I said about the Ferengi plotline is that this felt too 90s sitcom or 80s sitcom, and I listed off a name of shows where they have a baby to kind of spice things up or throw new life into the show. Now, this is like 2 episodes before the end of the series, so they can't do much, but it's the idea of somebody who already has at least one grown kid now having to have a baby. It feels a little bit too cookie cutter.
Okay.
You don't have any response to that?
No.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Oh.
But then I don't read into those things very much, I guess.
But you noticed that it did happen a lot when we were growing up.
It did, but it didn't bother me. I didn't like obsess over it. Like, oh, why is it there? Oh. I don't care for that stuff. It doesn't bother me.
You don't mind watching the same plot line over and over again?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bother me. I just figured, okay, this is what it is. It doesn't. This is how sitcoms are. This is how, this is how movies are. It's really not that big a deal for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Having said all that, I really enjoyed the episode. I thought the stuff with Kira, Garrick, and Damar was great. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we know I enjoyed the Odo stuff.
Yeah.
The Ezri and Julian stuff, I could take it or leave it, but it didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me. I'm thinking, but then I thought about something, right?
Go ahead.
It's like, I know that this is, DS9 is what DS9 is, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, is it a creative thing for creators to have a love story towards the end of a series? Like, we've complained and moaned and groaned about why Ezri is a character in the series, right? And,
yes.
And that she should not have had the symbiont in her because she wasn't trained. But is it really necessary for another romantic storyline to be to start like close to the end of this year? I don't know.
Because we don't have time to see them develop
Right,
a long-term
exactly.
relationship.
That's what that's exactly where I'm going with this. I'm like, is it really a creative move to do that? I think it should have started like at the beginning of the either in the beginning of the season or leading up to the last season. I don't know.
What would have been more interesting is if Julian ends up stealing Keiko from Miles. Because they're good friends on the show, right?
Okay.
Don't you think that would have been a fascinating plot twist?
I don't know. I never thought of it.
Oh.
Or Miles dating Kira, who is pregnant with
that almost happened.
With their, I know that almost did. Miles dating Kira while she's pregnant with their child.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of it's very scandalous. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
I just don't think Esri. I mean, I like Esri. She's interesting and she's somewhat interesting. She's starting to learn the ropes about DS9 and how things work. But
as the show is about to end.
As the show is about to get ended, I'm like, why would you kill? I mean, you know what they could have done? They could have said, well, Jadzia has an assignment and she's no longer going to be on DS9.
I have no issue with them killing Jadzia Dax. My problem is bringing back the symbiont.
I know.
I actually think it's really cool that they killed her off because most shows of that caliber wouldn't do something.
They don't do that, yeah. But they shouldn't have, after they killed her off, they should have just let the symbiont die.
I 100% agree.
You know?
I think that's lazy writing on their part.
I would agree. I mean, why start a love story towards the end when the end is obviously near? It's I don't understand that. I don't get it. But I mean, otherwise, I like the episode.
Yeah. People listening to us for the first time might think that we don't like DS9. It's a great show. And one of the reasons I think these flaws stand out to me so much is because it's around all this other stuff that is so amazing, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I notice it more.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, I totally agree with you on the symbiont dying and, having no other trills, having no other trills with the symbiont in them. Yeah.
Yes.
I think you're right about that.
Let's do some character analysis.
Okay.
What do you think Rom, Quark, and the Grand Nagus teach us about letting go of the past?
What exactly do you mean by that?
When the episode starts, or I guess during the majority of it, Quark thinks that he's going to be taking charge of Ferenginar. Mm-hmm. And he's confronted with the reality that things have changed. Mm-hmm. He's no longer going to have the power that he thought he was going to have because the Grand Nagus has made concessions.
Yes.
He sees that as going away from the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
You look at somebody like Rom, who's, for lack of a better term, a lot more progressive. He likes that things are changing. He thinks that women should have rights and that the poor should be taken care of. The Grand Nagus has lived a life of cheating and conning people.
Right.
But in his older years, he has started to see the need for reform. Yeah.
I think in this case, in the Star Trek world, right? This is not our world, but
it is an allegory for certain things that have gone on in our world.
Well, okay, I think in this case, maybe change is necessary.
Could we make the argument that in some ways, Quark is the villain in this episode?
Yes. In some ways. Just because he's used to the way it was before and the way that Ferengis lived, and in the beginning isn't ready to accept that things are changing.
Yeah, like even though I didn't really enjoy the subplot, it does say some interesting things about civil rights, about everybody having a fair shot in life, about the growth of, corporations.
I mean, and I'm not saying that all changes would be good, but I think there are some necessary changes that might actually help the Ferengis. As far as, because Ferengis have been known for cheating people out of money.
Yes.
But maybe that's not good anymore. Maybe their idea of money needs to be thought of as something different. But I don't know. What do I know? It's a Star Trek world.
No, but your opinion matters to me.
Okay. I hope so.
What do you think?
I'm just folding this, by the way.
Oh, that's fine. Sorry. You hit me. Was that on purpose?
No, it wasn't. I was folding it. I was folding the blanket. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What do you think this episode teaches us about legends and keeping hope alive? I'm specifically thinking about the plot with Damar.
That I don't know because I didn't understand it.
Really?
I didn't I still don't. Can you explain that a little bit more? Because I don't quite. I didn't quite catch on to that.
Would you maybe like to say what you found hard to grasp about it?
Well, I guess the whole thing with Garrick hiding the who did he take into his home?
He took Damar and Kira.
Yeah, hiding Damar and Kira, and in his was it his basement?
His family's basement.
His family's basement.
Yes.
And why? And I know that they're trying to make Damar, they were trying to become heroes, right? And use this to their advantage. I don't know. I didn't quite understand that plot line.
Okay, let me see if I could give you a little bit more context.
All right.
Before Damar's falling out with the Dominion, he was considered a war hero.
Okay.
He was one of Gul Dukat's right-hand man.
Yes, he was.
Right-hand man, right?
Yes, he was.
And so he was very, very, if not popular, then at least respected, right? Eventually, he turns on the Dominion, which is a decision that I imagine a lot of people on Cardassia also really respected. Weyoun seemingly seems to kill him by destroying the ship that everybody thought he was on. But the people now see Damar as this folk hero because he died in battle trying to save Cardassia.
Right.
Kira knows that they can use this to their advantage by having him show up at a specific spot and getting a quick victory.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yes.
Does that help explain it a little bit?
Yes.
What do you think about how the legend of Damar versus maybe the reality? Because people think he's this great figure, but he's stuck in a basement with Bajoran.
They don't know anything about. They don't know where he is. They think he's dead. That's interesting.
Some of them speculate that he might be alive, though. Right.
You forgot to mention that part when he shows up at the end, right?
No, I talked about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. It's you know what it kind of reminds me of?
What's that?
Certain legends of people that we've heard about in our past, like Jesse James, right?
Or Napoleon,
right? Or what's the other guy I was thinking about? Billy the Kid, right? We heard things about him, but we didn't actually know the actual story about these people. We just heard little bits and pieces, and we thought that a lot of them were heroes.
Well, I think about Napoleon because I believe there was a period where he was exiled and he escaped the island that he was on. And I believe there was rumors that he had died during it, but it turned out that he was alive and he briefly took over control of France again.
Wasn't Napoleon like a dictator in France?
I don't know enough about his politics when it came to his people. I know that he was a great war hero, though. Okay.
Yeah, and he was married, and I heard that he was married to someone named Josephine, I think. Oh. Yes. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. They don't know like the rest of the story behind DeMar.
Does that in any way, or should it rather, make us reconsider how we perceive the people that we consider to be legends?
Well, I do think that's yeah. Well, I mean, I think that it's important to know the actual the rest of the story of who we think are legends. Yes. Whether or not they are true, whether or not the stories are true or not true.
I mean, I think about somebody like John Lennon, who wrote all this incredible music, had these interesting demonstrations for peace, and was a very outspoken critic of the government here in the 1970s, along with criticizing some of his own bandmates, or former ones at that point, and Bob Dylan. But I saw an interview with him on Dick Cavett, and he was talking about how when he moved to America, he learned to enjoy ice cream.
Wow, really?
And it's like, I when I think of John Lennon, I think, like this guy who wants to be a revolutionary, not this guy who's eating Haagen-Dazs.
I like Haagen-Dazs.
On the couch.
Once in a while.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. So, what was I going to say?
I don't know.
I did see a couple of clips with Dick Cavett, and I heard he had a famous show, but in some ways he interviewed a lot of controversial people.
I really enjoyed his program.
I saw an episode with James Taylor and Carly Simon. That's when they were still married. It was very interesting. They were still young and in their prime. And then I saw an interview that I believe he did with Janice Ian when she performed her song that she wrote called Society's Child when she was 15. And how the audience was just hurling racial insults at her. And she had to run out. She ran out of the place where she was performing. She was in tears. And I forgot if it was her manager or somebody that told her, you have to go out and sing. You can't cower in the corner here. You have to, I'm butchering it. I don't remember what, but she basically was horrified. She was horrified, during that situation, and she was told to go back and sing it. And, that was a song that was, controversial during that time because I think it was done like in the late 60s. I think it was late 60s, early 70s when she was only 15.
I don't know if we talked about it here, but I remember when John Kerry was running for president in 2004. I was watching C-SPAN, and they had Dick Cavett on the phone because he was introducing an old episode of his show where John Kerry came on to debate somebody about the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
John Kerry had actually fought in the war, and he was trying to say, this is an unjust war. We really need to get out of there. And it was really interesting to watch. And I remember thinking to myself, and a lot of people have commented on this, so this is not an original thought, but if that John Kerry would have ran for president instead of this guy who came off as very establishment and elite, then he probably could have won the election.
When was the Dick Cavett show on? Because it was an older show, so I've heard things about it, but I've never watched it.
I'm not an expert on him, but if I understand it right, he had a bunch of different talk shows that were on the air between like the late 60s until about 1990.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I found like clips of it and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have known about this earlier because he had some really great people on from what I saw.
But now you can watch a lot of that stuff on YouTube.
Yes, I can.
There's a documentary I want to watch, and I think it's called Cavett versus Ali.
Oh, wow.
It's on the PBS documentary app right now. And I think it's about, or is it HBO Max? It's one of those two. It's about Muhammad Ali going on the Dick Cavett show.
Yeah.
I keep telling myself I'm going to watch that, and I really should.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm curious, babes.
Yes.
I know that your sister married somebody who's very into sports, but was your dad a sports person?
Yeah, I believe so. I think he watched. I'm trying to remember now. Is he? Yes, I think he is. He liked watching boxing. He liked doing like. Remember, I told you that he participated in some martial arts.
Oh, that's right.
I believe he does like sports. Yes.
What was his take on Muhammad Ali?
I really never asked him that. I don't know, because I know that he did compete in Manila. The Thrilla in Manila.
That's correct, babe.
So I don't know what he thought about Muhammad Ali. I didn't ask him about sports questions because I wasn't interested in sports.
Did you ever... we talked about this. You did see When We Were Kings, right?
Yes, I did, but I only saw it once.
Yeah, I only saw it once, too, in the movie theater, but I remember thinking
it was really good. And I did it for an assignment, and if I didn't have to do it for an assignment, I would have just watched it and really... I mean, I did enjoy it, but I don't think I would have fully enjoyed it had I not had to do a paper.
That makes sense.
But it was good. It was good. My brother-in-law let me borrow it, and it was really good. It was about Muhammad Ali, I think.
It was about his fight against George Foreman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was interesting. I'm thinking we should watch it again.
Maybe the next time we do a documentary weekend in a month or so.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
There's so many I'd like to show you. You know what I was thinking? I know I keep taking it back to Clubhouse. Sorry, babes. But one of the friends of mine, the one who was like really saying you need to get on Clubhouse.
Right.
He watches a lot of documentaries.
Yeah.
So I think it might be fun if him and I do a Clubhouse room.
Uh-huh.
Maybe not every week, but every other week, where we just talk about, and I'll make it easy for him. I'll say, hey, you pick a documentary for me to watch that you've already seen. And I'm just throwing out a random day, on like Wednesday, or on Wednesdays, we'll discuss the documentary and we'll both give our opinions of it. And we'll have people come on and talk about it. Yeah. And maybe we'll do that like once a month or once every other week. I don't know. I'm going to present that idea to him soon.
Okay.
Yes. We could call it Doc Talk.
Very good. Very good.
Yes.
I like that one.
Thank you there, Jay. Well, but we're also going to get into documentaries because the Civil War.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And the build up to eventually one of these days watching Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, I really want to see Gone with the Wind. I've heard so many great things about that movie.
It's a really cool film.
And I was going to read it. I told you I was going to read it in high school, but it was like 9 volumes long.
Yeah.
Ridiculously long book.
Now, I have a very smart friend of mine who saw it for the first time like a month and a half ago.
Wow.
I think his wife was watching it.
Okay.
And was showing it to their child.
Yeah.
He liked it, but he didn't love it.
He didn't. Did he understand it?
No, he's a smart guy. He understood it, but he didn't like some of the things in it.
Oh. And
he was texting me about it. Some of his complaints were a little bit valid, which I don't want to get into here only because you haven't seen the movie. But I think he missed the core of the thing about why this is a brilliant film.
Yeah.
You know, and it's easy to miss that if you don't understand the historical context of the movie.
Ah, okay.
Like, to me, I always think to myself that the film came out, when did the Civil War end? Like 1865?
And it came out in 1939.
Yeah, so 74 years later, I think the last Confederate soldier died somewhere in the 50s. So there were still people alive who were Confederate soldiers and who fought for the Union who may have seen this movie. When it came out.
That's just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And we weren't even born yet.
Well, yeah, like my grandfather who died last year was 4 when it came out.
And my parents weren't even born yet because they were born in the mid to late 50s.
Yeah, your grandmother was alive though.
My grandma was, but she was in a different country.
She was a little kid too.
Yeah, but she was in a different country.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the Philippines got when I'm sure the Filipinos in the Philippines knew about it, but I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, a lot of people know about it, but I don't know how well they knew about it, or
if it played there, or if they just heard about it in
right,
the newspaper.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder when movie theaters really started to come about in the Philippines. Was it kind of like earlier on, or did it happen like in the 50s? I don't know. I don't know enough about Filipino cinema.
I don't know either. I couldn't tell you about that, and I don't know if they have any like Filipino history movies that documents the history of the islands or the history of the people.
I have heard that the copyright laws in the Philippines are kind of loose. So supposedly in the 80s, they made some like cheap Batman movies.
Oh, wow.
Where it's like the character of Batman hanging out and doing odd stuff. But I don't know much about the history of cinema there before then. I'd like to read about it.
Yeah, it would be interesting. And a lot of it is not in English, so it's another thing that I'd like to know about. A lot of the movies that my family would watch is completely in Filipino and not English.
Yes, Tagalog.
Tagalog, yeah.
Tagalog. Oh my goodness, Tagalog. Yes. But that could prove to be a fascinating project to go down the rabbit hole of researching that.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I wonder sometimes, like, if an American movie goes national, right, or international.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they would probably know about it because they would be able to dub it. But if it's like back in the 40s, probably wouldn't have that way of doing it, right?
That's a really good question. I think that they could do it, but it was probably so hard that they didn't put a lot of movies overseas into non-English speaking countries. And the reason I say that is, I mean, they had to come up with sound. And even today, when you record a movie,
yes,
you have to do redubs of it. Yes. And that's what the technology we have today, because the sound wasn't captured right. And so I imagine back then that was even more of an issue. So I think that they could have done it, but it was probably cost prohibitive to just do it for one or two countries.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm going to research that because I'm assuming I know the answer, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it's curious to me because when I was growing up, I heard that, these are dubbed in, are shown in different countries and they're dubbed in several languages. And I'm like, how is that possible? Yeah. Well, I mean, especially when we were watching those anime movies from Studio Ghibli, right? Like, well, who do they find to do the English speaking parts? And not, are they real stars or are they just like Japanese American people? They sound too American to me.
No, it's English people. People from the U.S.
People from the U.S. Yes. They should be at least Japanese American.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yes, be a boss.
Yes.
Eventually, I would like to return to Studio Ghibli.
It's good stuff. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Yes.
Who knew that I would like it?
I don't know, babes.
But it's good.
Maybe we should have one weekend a month where we just do like a random movie nights.
That'd
and we don't
fun.
know what we're going to watch until we actually sit down.
Yeah, it's like we may like it, we may hate it.
Yeah.
We may be like
confused.
Oh,
so I took us off of track. We were talking about Deep Space Nine.
Well, I thought we were done with that.
Oh yeah, let's real quick, one last question. I love the way Worf handled it when he saw Ezri and Julian making out. He just sends the turbo lift down.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any thoughts about that or not.
Well, I thought it was really funny in the beginning where she's like, he is a very I forgot what he talked about Julian, and she is very confused. I forgot what he said about Julian.
Oh, he is like a grown child.
Yeah, he is a overgrown child, and she is very confused. And he said it in his Worf way.
Yes.
I love it's just so funny how his inflections are. I asked you, I said, does he really talk like that in real life? And you're like, no, he's actually really cool, and he always loved Star Trek even before he was Worf.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple episodes with Michael Dorn, but he seems like a jovial, nice guy.
Yeah, he's not as serious as Worf is.
No, I mean, I'm sure he has his moments, but he seems cool.
Yeah.
I think he almost died a couple years ago because he is a pilot. Just flies his own plane, and I seem to remember something about a plane crash, maybe like 5-10 years ago. I could have that wrong, but I want to say that happened to him.
But he survived, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, well.
Alana.
Yes?
We watched some interesting movies last night. And please don't tickle me.
Why?
Because I'm going to tell the audience something.
Oh.
I got you for last night to say dick. We were watching... What's the name of it? The Wrecking Crew. And
the Wrecking Crew.
They had on...
Oh, it was Dick Clark.
They had on Dick Clark, and I said, "Oh, they're interviewing Penis Clark."
Yeah, but it's in the same. It's in the different context, right? You're not actually calling somebody a penis. It's a person's name, which... Anyway, I don't want to go on and on about
I believe dick is a term for sperm whales, too. Am I correct?
Oh, like Moby Dick?
Well, I don't know, but I think
Moby Dick is a whale, but...
I know Moby Dick is a whale, but isn't dick like a term for whales?
No, but spotted dicks are desserts in England.
So, okay, we're not going to use my first scenario then. Let's say we go to some place and they bring out some spotted dick. Would it be possible to hear you say, "Oh my God, that's a huge dick"?
Okay, all right. That's enough. That's enough. Yeah, you would want me to say that, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean...
I know what it is. I don't know what they look like, but they're supposed to be really good desserts. But they have weird names for desserts, and that's a weird name for a dessert in England.
I only know about that dessert because of the movie King Ralph.
I did not see that one. That was the one with John Goodman, right?
I enjoyed it as a kid.
Yeah, but I heard about it. I heard it's really good.
He's good at almost everything he does.
Yes.
I like him as an actor.
Yes, he's very good.
Yes.
And he can sing. He can sing pretty well.
Can he?
Well, he was in an animated movie that I watched a long time ago, and he was singing on it. He's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
You don't think they overdubbed his voice?
No, that was really him singing. I heard him singing.
Very good there, Jaylo.
Yes.
I know he sang on an episode of Roseanne, but they had her sing on it too, and she really sucks.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Which one was it?
They go to Vegas, and they're singing, "Luck be a lady tonight," and he's doing it, and then she does it and completely butchers the song.
I didn't see that part, but I've heard him sing a little bit on the show.
Yeah.
There's this lady that they've had on the show that is a really good singer, and I think her name is like Bonnie Bramlett. I don't know what other stuff she sings, but I've heard her sing on the show, and she's really, I think she's a blues singer. Yeah, Bonnie Bramlett.
Do you remember, babes, when Roseanne sang the national anthem?
Oh, it was awful.
It was awful.
It was awful, and then she spit afterwards, and everybody was upset. And it wasn't like, it was like a collective upset. It was, everybody was talking about it. And I think I was like 9 years old when that happened, or 10 or something, somewhere around there. And it was at a game, right?
It was.
At a game. It was awful, and it was terrible. It was awful. That's almost comparable to like if I was playing the national anthem on a flute that was really seriously out of tune.
Yeah. Now, in fairness to her,
yeah,
I don't think that they should have asked her to sing the national anthem since she is a comedian.
I know.
And not known for her singing abilities.
No, she's awful.
Yeah. But
maybe they could have asked somebody else like Bonnie Bramlett to sing for her.
Well, they could have asked another celebrity.
Somebody else that actually sings.
Yeah, Bonnie Bramlett, it's like, you know who she is, but...
Well, I mean, I don't know how
does.
famous... I don't know... You don't know that, Bobby.
I'm sure she gets hounded by autographs every day.
Maybe I'll ask a certain device to tell us about Bonnie Bramlett.
You know, she was once hanging out with Paul McCartney, and these, like, teenage girls came over to them and said, "Oh my God, I'm such a huge fan." And then they pull out the cameras, they give it to Paul McCartney, and they're like, "Can you take a picture of me and Bonnie Bramlett together?" Sorry,
Okay, I think we're getting
joke.
off of...
Okay, so we watched a documentary with Peanuts Clark in it last night.
It's Richard Clark. There.
It's Dick. It's Dick.
Uh-huh.
Do you like Dick Clark?
I did when he was alive.
I'm glad to know you liked Dick.
Would you stop it?
Sorry,
You're trying to make it into a very obscene joke.
Sorry, I know that's obvious.
Oh.
But I laugh at some dad jokes, obviously, and that
is not a dad joke. That is just a very that isn't a very good pun.
No, that's dad humor, babes. In my book.
That's wick humor.
But Dick was in the documentary.
Mr. Clark, to you.
Oh. His mama called him Dick. I'm going to call him Dick.
You're not his mama.
No, I know. I'm not going to say that joke. But anyways.
Jeez.
The movie we watched, Mr. Clark, and I make it sound like he was in the entire movie, and it's about it.
No,
but
just a one little part of it.
Yeah, it's called The Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, and I thought that you would like this one a little bit better than Standing in the Shadows of Motown.
I did. I liked it a lot better.
I only saw it once before I showed it to you, and I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it, and I loved that they had little clips of the actual songs that the Wrecking Crew is in. They interviewed Glenn Campbell. Carol Kay was a Wrecking Crew bassist that played on songs like Good Vibrations. Really, I mean, I'll never think of that song the same way again because she made it so cool, you know. She played on California Girls. Really cool. And how they were explaining about the intro to California Girls and how it was. I just loved it.
It was awesome. At one point during the documentary, thank you for hitting me, babes.
Okay.
I love you.
You're welcome. No, I wasn't hitting you. I was going like this.
Oh, no, but it probably makes some weird audio sounds.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, babes.
I was just tapping your hand.
That's okay, Jaylo. I still love you.
Okay.
I still love you, babes. I still love you, honey. I still love you, honey. Anyways, they're having this group discussion, and it comes out that Carol Kay, for a while in the 60s, made more money than the president.
Yeah, well.
I thought that was pretty interesting. I do wonder, and I don't know the specifics of copyright law or how things worked back in the day. Mm-hmm. Do they still get a percentage of the records sold that they played on? Or when those songs are played on radio, do they get some of the royalties?
I don't remember them mentioning it, honestly. I think it's something that we would have to look up. Because I really don't know. But I didn't realize that they played on so many things. I mean, I really liked when they were talking about Wichita Lineman, which is a famous Glenn Campbell song. It's a good one, too. That Carol Kay had a bass, and I forgot what she was explaining to why it made a guttural sound, but Glenn Campbell played it in the middle of the song, and I thought that was really cool. He played it in the solo. And yeah, it was really cool. And she's like, every time I heard Wichita Lineman in the store, and tears came to my eyes because I remember being on it, and Glenn Campbell played my bass during the solo, and I thought it was really cool.
They tell the story of this guy. Was his name Tony? He was the guitarist.
Tommy Tedesco.
Tommy Tedesco. And his son, I believe, directed the documentary. Yeah,
it was really cool. I loved seeing clips of him performing for an audience. And,
I was just going to say that.
And he had a great sense of humor. Mm-hmm. And the thing I really enjoyed was when he dressed up like this 200-pound ballerina.
And went on the Gong Show.
Yeah, and everybody was laughing hysterically. And but what was really sad is when he had that stroke. And he couldn't play anymore. Yeah, and his son said that his dad said, the stroke came at a really good time.
Because nobody was calling him, but now he could just blame it on the stroke.
Yeah. And he can die in peace or whatever.
Yes.
suffer in peace. I don't know.
Suffer in peace, okay.
But he was an excellent guitar player, and in the beginning when you hear like MTV reporting on it and saying that he
died.
You don't know him, but you probably heard his music. Mm-hmm. And Tommy Tedesco died at, I forgot how old he was, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know about him. But I thought that his son, I don't know what his name is, did a really good job on this documentary.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it a lot.
When they were showing those scenes of Kirk Loder talking about Tommy Tedesco, it kind of made me wonder why MTV doesn't do more of that. So I imagine...
Well, they used to a lot.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, did they really?
Well, they would talk about politics, but they would report it. They wouldn't I think they... I'm trying to remember if they used to ask people on the street about it, and I think they did, but I don't remember...
About what now?
About politics.
No, but that's not what I'm talking about, babes.
But I mean, like they did MTV news reports about people who died. Also.
I know, but how often did they do it about studio musicians?
I'm not sure. I don't know actually.
I mean, I watched MTV News a lot.
I did,
and I don't remember them ever talking about a studio musician who died,
except for that one. Yeah,
right. But I don't remember that.
I don't either.
Now, it's possible I spent a little bit too much time with the Pacalolo.
Yeah.
But
you weren't exactly in your right mind.
The fact that you can't remember any times that they did it, besides for the specific occasion, makes me think that it doesn't happen a lot. So
it didn't happen. I don't think it did anyway.
Let's think about the 80s. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of bands that probably didn't play their own instruments. Mm. And I'm assuming a lot of those studio musicians have passed away. Mm. I doubt that MTV has really reported on their deaths.
Well, I mean, as far as the 80s go, and I didn't watch a lot of MTV in the 80s. I watched more of it in the 90s.
No, but I'm saying that there are studio musicians who are around.
I wasn't done yet.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say I don't remember hearing about them in MTV News.
Right, but I'm saying they probably recorded in the 80s and died later.
Probably.
Right. But in the 80s, they didn't report about their deaths.
Are you going to make fun of me this entire episode?
Babes, I would never make fun of you.
You just did a little bit ago.
I don't remember that.
Yes, you did.
What I would like to ask you is, okay, what does this film say to us about how many people it takes to have a success?
Well, I guess it depends on if you want to create like how Phil Spector created a wall of sound. And I was amazed at how many percussionists he was using, like 15 percussionists. Like, wow. And he wanted the, we're talking about the echo, right? The echo effect, the reverb effect that they were using for the Righteous Brothers, and how much that really made that song sound so good the way it was. The effects going into recording something, I think it's really fascinating to me.
Right, but I'm thinking the amount of people.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I thought it was really interesting when they were asking how many people were in the crew.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know, 20, 30, because they were using musicians that were available, but they didn't use everybody at one time.
I guess what I'm trying to ask, and maybe I didn't phrase it right, so let me try it again.
No, you didn't.
This film shows us that oftentimes when we think a hit record only requires 2 or 3 people, it could be 20 people who are involved in it. Mm-hmm. And obviously the movie deals with music, but we could take that as an analogy for life in general. You need so many people to have a success. Mm-hmm. Even though it may look like it's one person does it by themselves, there's a group of people that helps them. And I'm wondering, does this movie make you think about success differently? Like, instead of focusing on the individual, maybe we should spend a little bit more time thinking about the collective when somebody seemingly achieves something by themselves.
Possibly. Yeah. It's possible.
Well, good.
Good. Yeah, so it is possible.
Yes. What else would you like to say about this movie?
I really enjoyed it. I think it's worth watching. I thought the clips were really at a good length, and it were actually real clips. So
Yeah.
It wasn't like
They handled the music a lot better than Standing in the Shadows of Motown.
Yes, I mean I liked both documentaries, but I think that the Wrecking Crew really talks about the Wrecking Crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that I don't know what his son's name is. Tommy Tedesco's son was really a great narrator and really took some time to put it together.
Because he could have easily messed it up.
Yeah.
Being so close to the situation. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly.
But I felt he did good.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
See, well, is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
No. It's good. You go watch it.
All right. Now, let's get to a film that is a challenging portrait of an artist called Crumb. This movie came out in 1994. I remember hearing about it at the time. Mm-hmm. A lot of critics were raving about it, but I didn't see it then because I was only 11 and I was still under the assumption that documentary films are very boring, so I don't need to watch them. Uh-huh. But as I got older, I started thinking about the movie more and more, and why don't I watch it? Because, you know, by the time I was in my 20s, I had seen the early work of Michael Moore. I had been exposed to Ken Burns and a few films by Errol Morris. So I'd gotten more familiar with that world. Mm-hmm. One day in 2008, I took the plunge. I sat down and I watched Crumb. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed it. I say I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, I kept getting the guy's name wrong. I kept calling him Arthur Crumb. It's really Robert.
It's Robert,
Crumb.
yeah.
And that is a fault on me because I am not a huge fan of underground comics.
Right.
I would say I don't really know that world, so it's not that I'm hating on it. It's just,
it's
out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So it's easy to forget that type of stuff. I know that there are probably huge fans of him.
You have a wheelhouse?
Well, you know what I mean. Babes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I know that there are probably people who really enjoy his work that might be offended by that. I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm just telling why I got his name wrong because it just didn't register with me like it should have. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed it the first time. This time I liked it even more. I would give it an 8. My score went up because it's a real challenging portrait of an artist and what they have to go through in their life to make this incredible art, to create something that is beautiful in its own unique way. And the film asks a lot of difficult questions. Should we censor art? Should we hold this guy accountable for his beliefs? Mm-hmm. Should we even think of this as art, or should we think of it as just smut? You know, what should we think of the man outside of being just an artist? Is he a creepy guy who hates women or is racist? And is that okay? Mm-hmm. How should we think of his family? Mm. I think this film is very difficult to watch, but it's good because of that difficulty.
It was very painful for me to watch. I'm not going to lie.
We disagree about this film.
Yeah, we do.
I really enjoyed it.
We very much disagree about it. Yeah, yeah. I think you should give your opinion before I go on mine.
I mean, in some ways I already did. I would give it an 8. Now let me talk about a couple scenes from the movie that stood out to me. Mm-hmm. Because maybe that'll help you a little bit. Mm-hmm. It opens up, he's drawing, and I'm not going to give a full description like I usually do. I don't think that's fair with documentaries for some reason.
Yes.
That's just the way I feel. But his mom calls him and she doesn't want Robert to come over to her house with a camera crew. Mm-hmm. But he does it anyway, and he interviews his brother Charles, mm-hmm. who we find out still lives at home. I'm assuming by that time is in his late 40s or late 40s.
Much older, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And he's never lived on his own. He's only had one job, and that was over 20 years ago. And he seems like this really unique person. Let's put it that way.
He seems kind of, he seems very cut off.
Yeah.
From society, like very cut off, very guarded. He's very soft spoken. He seems like he could be a nice guy, but he seems like awkwardly shy.
Yeah, like he would freak women around.
He would freak women
out.
out.
If they didn't know him. He would freak
Right.
them out if they didn't know him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be hard for him to get to know a woman since he barely left the house.
Exactly.
His other brother, Maxim?
Yeah, Maxim.
Wasn't as interesting as Charles. He lived, or wasn't as much of a sudden. He lived on his own, but he still had some issues.
Mm-hmm.
His place was dirty. He sat on a bed of nails.
That's a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Some of the other stuff that stood out to me in this movie was they were interviewing the editor of this magazine called Legs.
Yeah.
And she had these models pose with Crumb, and at one point he's, touching their ass and messing around with them, getting underneath their legs. And I'm thinking to myself, if this film came out today,
there would be some pushback.
it would not receive the same critical acclaim that it did in the 90s.
No, it wouldn't.
When they're talking about his cartoons, and they tell the story of, what was it called? The Joe cartoon?
It's called Joe Blow. There was one called Joe Blow, yeah.
They had an editor from Mother Jones read the story. I think she was an editor.
She was describing the story.
Yes, she worked from Mother Jones, and I won't give it away here, but that was a pretty bizarre part of it.
It was very bizarre.
There's another part of the movie where Robert reads this comic that he wrote called Mr. Natural that I thought was actually pretty funny, but Alana was disturbed by it.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to go on and on and on with the description. I'm like, come on, when are you going to stop it? And it was just very painful and disturbing, and it's just sick and wrong, honestly, to me. I just was very... it was just going down a very bad rabbit hole very, very fast. I
don't remember the gentleman's name, but they talked to the art critic from Time magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
And he starts saying, well, this is odd, and if you're into pornography, you can enjoy Crumb stuff. And I think he said that Robert Crumb had admitted to masturbating to his own drawings. Am I remembering that right?
Yes. He did it all the time, and he didn't just do it he didn't just do it a lot, but he also did that when it came to his drawings. Yes, very correct.
Yeah, he admitted to masturbating like 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah, that's incredibly insane. Yeah.
Oh, he's an amateur. No, I'm joking. I was going to say something I don't think I should. But moving on. There was an interesting scene with, I think it's what was then his current wife. I don't know if they're still together. And she's talking about her relationship with her mom. Yeah. And saying that my mom never read any of my stuff. In fact, one day she came over and she saw the pictures that are behind me and asked who drew them. And I said, I did. And she said, I didn't know you draw. But the mom sent her to art school.
Yeah, and she was laughing, and she's like, but you sent me to art school. And she thought it was kind of funny, but I would imagine it was very hurtful. Mm-hmm. She's laughing because she thought at now it seems funny, but it still hurts, but she's able to deal with it because, deal with it by laughing. But I would imagine it was really hurtful.
Yes.
Like, why can't you notice me for the things that I'm doing?
The stuff with Robert's kids,
yeah,
was compelling.
That's very. It was very sad,
and not in a good way. Compelling.
No, not at all.
But
it was.
You also get to hear about his own childhood too, and get a brief glimpse of what his relationship with his dad was like. Mm-hmm. I know that you like this scene too. The scene where Robert and his mom are sitting on a couch and the brother Charles is on a chair next to them. Yeah. And they're just laughing about enemas.
Or whatever they're talking, but their mom isn't actually, quite all together either.
No.
Yeah.
No. His sisters refused to be interviewed for the movie. There are some questions about Crumb being racist. Mm-hmm. I don't know the man, I don't really know his work, but it struck me as very possible that he could be racist on some level.
Yes.
There was a scene that was controversial when we were talking about it last night, when he was talking to his brother Maxim.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about Asian women. He's like, you draw Oriental women, and Maxim starts going into these fantasies.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure if he was actually talking about the time that he did it or whatever it was. I was very confused, and I was horrified because I thought, why isn't this man arrested? Mm-hmm. For pedophilia, if that's what because he was saying something like, I molested since I was 18, but it was very, and I was listening to him like, I think he's talking about himself.
My interpretation was he was talking about a fantasy, and Alana thinks he was talking about reality.
And I'm thinking, if he's talking about himself, why is he not arrested?
Yeah, that's why I think it was a fantasy.
But yeah.
This scene wasn't as disturbing, but it struck out to me when I saw the original. It's stuck out to me. I'm not speaking well today.
Yeah.
Right. But he's in this comic book shop, and the guy behind the front desk is a huge fan and wants an autograph, and Crumb's just like, no, I don't give autographs, and continues looking at the comic books.
Yeah.
The guy keeps asking him questions, but Crumb's kind of talking to him, kind of not. This guy had the only flyer that I keep wanting to call him Arthur. The only flyer that Robert had done for a band. Mm-hmm. And Robert looks at the flyer and says, oh, this is horrible. Mm-hmm. I tried to pretend that I was into the Grateful Dead and that whole stuff when I was younger, but I was really just trying to get laid. And I used to go to the Grateful Dead shows and fall asleep.
Yeah. That was odd.
I wouldn't want to know Robert in real life, but I'm very compelled by this documentary. Mm. You told me that you would give this film a 6.
Yes, I would. Mm. And for very different reasons.
Tell me what stood out to you.
So I don't think this man should be censored. I don't believe in censorship at all. Not that I condone what he's doing or what he's portrayed women as, and that he's very hostile to black people and women and probably other cultures too, and probably other groups of people, and how hostile he is to the United States. You know, it's
See, I didn't think he was hostile to the US.
No, because you remember the reason why he was moving to France was he mentioned something about America and how awful it is.
Yeah, but I didn't perceive that as hostile. I just perceived that as somebody moving from a place that they didn't like.
I saw it as hostile.
Wow.
I did.
But you're very raw American.
Of course.
Yeah, go ahead.
Making fun of me again, are we?
No, I'm not. I'm just pointing out something.
Making fun of me?
You even said, of course.
Yes, I know I did.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. I was asking a lot of questions in my head. I noticed the apparent disconnection that Robert Crumb has towards his family, his brothers, his mother, how he referred to his father as the old man, which I thought was very uncomfortable to me because of how I grew up. Totally different than the way he grew up. And this is a perfect example of how not to raise your children. Do not raise them in a hostile environment where there's violence and the father is not respecting the mother and the mother's got problems and they don't teach their kids how to deal with problems, and, you know, children having fantasies of killing their own brother.
Oh, yeah. Charles says that at some point to Robert that, I considered grabbing a knife from the kitchen and killing you several times. See, I didn't find that weird. I just thought that that's what siblings do.
I never had those fantasies.
Wow.
I think he was very messed up in the head. But I mean, and it also shows us how, kids handle abuse differently. Like Charles completely clammed up, didn't want to go outside, wanted to stay home all the time, a complete homebody. And Robert is just emotionally very disconnected. What I didn't understand also was why his ex-girlfriend would still hang out with him after she admits that, he's a victim of his own circumstances and he treated me horribly and that's why we broke up.
Maybe he had some good qualities, though. Maybe he actually made her laugh and made her think about the world a little bit differently.
I don't know. I never understood that.
I want to give some context for the father. Mm-hmm. At some point during the movie, Robert, I believe, says that near Christmas, his dad broke his collarbone and he was only 5 at the time.
He was about 5, yeah.
And the dad broke Robert's collarbone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, ouch.
My theory is that Robert is somewhere on the spectrum of autism. I don't know that for sure. That's just a guess, but that's what I'm going with.
I think that both him and his 2 brothers had serious issues. Mm-hmm. Robert being, I think, the worst of them.
You think Robert's the worst?
Well, no, I take that back. Not Robert.
Charles.
I think Charles is the worst of the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he killed himself before the documentary even was released.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is not for the faint of heart, I will say that. It's a very disturbing documentary, and I didn't realize, when you said he was weird, I didn't know how weird until we started. I'm like, oh, that is just beyond weird. That's just like disturbing, dysfunctional. I mean, just the dysfunctionality of the whole family dynamic that was reported.
I felt this was a very daring film. It felt very true to me. It captures what it is to be an artist, because at one point they're talking to his first wife and they say when they met, she's telling the story, he would always have notebooks around and would constantly be drawing. Mm-hmm. And that's what it takes to become good. Mm-hmm. Yes. I am actually a little surprised that you didn't like this film more.
And why are you surprised?
Because of what it teaches us about what it means to be a true artist.
I'm not going to take away from that.
Okay.
It does teach. I appreciate that, of course. But I guess my question would be, how far would you go to push the envelope? How far would you really go to push the envelope? And even though I don't think art should be censored at all, because people should make their own choices as to what kind of art they like, it horrified me when the one lady that he went to dinner with said that when she saw her brother zap comics
at age 10 or whatever.
At age 10 or however old he was, she was horrified.
See, that made me laugh. That's the difference between us.
And I don't think everything is funny. You know what I mean? There are things that are very funny, but this is not. I mean, I see it very. It seems it's very disturbing and very sad. In
some ways, I thought you would also like this movie because you talk a lot about how, liberals are trying to censor everything. And this movie is not that at all. This movie is not about an artist who is pro-censorship. So I thought that you would have appreciated it from that angle as well.
Well, I can appreciate this person is not censoring himself, right? Because it doesn't help anything if you censor somebody's art. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, well, there are things that people are comfortable with and there are things that people are not comfortable with, so turn it off. Like, this is one of those documentaries where, it's good that I saw it because, I have a better appreciation for my own life, and that I don't have to see it again if I don't want to. And I don't think I will.
Wow.
It's very disturbing to me. I just, it is not for the faint of heart.
Is there anybody that you would recommend this movie to?
Unless someone was seriously depressed.
We talked about this girl who was into me last night. I mean, we talked about her last night. She was into me several years ago, and
Probably
some have
is.
speculated that she still wants to get some of this.
Oh, jeez.
She wants some of that third leg.
Okay. Go on.
And Alana said that she would probably recommend this film to her.
I said something to the effect of, well, if you think your life is really horrible, take a glimpse into Robert Crumb's life, and then come back to me and tell me how your life is. Well, what was also really hard to watch was when the documentary person, I don't know what you call him,
Documentarian.
The documentarian, yes, thank you. Well, the filmmaker, when he said, so how do you feel about, moving away from your family? He's like, well, I never really thought of it. I don't have feelings at all. And then his wife was like, well, he only sees his mother and brother once a year.
I thought that was honest.
I know, but I just thought, I mean, how sad. In some ways, it's like, what an
Okay, what would you prefer? That or a fluff piece about any popular celebrity? And they come out and they say, oh, it's going to be so hard for me to move. I see my family every single day, but you know that person's lying. Right?
How do I know that they're lying? It's only speculation.
No, but a lot of celebrities lie about that type of stuff to try to seem like a common person. Let's say
you don't know that.
Let me say something.
You don't.
Let me see if I could put it in context this way. This film came out in 1994. Mm-hmm. What would you rather watch? This movie or a documentary, a fluff piece basically about some celebrity in the 90s. And in it, they talk about how they spend every day with their parents, and it's going to be so hard for them to move away. And since 1994, it's come out that this person, the big celebrity, actually hated their parents.
No, I'm not going to say that it's bad that he was honest. Okay. It was just hard to watch.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, just because something is honest, it doesn't mean I'm going to like it.
Yeah, I would say challenging.
Challenging, honest, whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Brutally honest.
Oh my goodness.
In your face honest. That doesn't mean I'm going to be on board with it.
Oh.
Completely. But the music, his piano playing, because I didn't know that was him. Mm-hmm. I thought it was beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. I really wish that he would have gone into, his interest in music, if any, and how he ended up playing the piano. Because I don't even know if it was composed by him or what, but it was beautiful stuff. He
owned a pretty sizable record collection in this movie, mm-hmm. which I thought was cool to know. Mm-hmm. Because it goes into that thing of, we know him, or I guess most people do, as this comic book artist, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a passion for music as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend that people watch Crumb. And you would say maybe think about that.
Watch it at your discretion.
Oh.
There's a lot of things in here that probably wouldn't go over well today.
No, but do we want to go all woke and say that
No. I am against woke culture for what it is, of course, but I'm just saying, just see it at your own discretion.
Oh, gee, well.
Yeah.
Well, good, babes. Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
Okay. Another question I ask myself is, if a person is emotionally disconnected and detached from women and whoever it is, right? I don't know how he was able to have a wife and a child, especially a daughter.
Because you would think that the state would step in and take the daughter away.
Yeah.
Based on some of the comics.
And his son.
I don't think the son lived with him, besides for when Robert may have been married to his mother. Mm-hmm. So the son is older than the daughter. And at one point near the end of the movie, they're talking to him and he says something to the effect of, I can't have a relationship with my dad where I just go up and hug him or shake his hand.
Yeah, because he's very detached.
What did you think about that?
It was hard. It was hard to see that.
Mm.
But that's what happens when a person is not so well adjusted.
That's right, babes.
And he's trying to do the best he can, but he's very emotionally gone.
Yes.
So, well, and then and also to his current wife, I guess, is not quite. She's not quite emotionally stable either.
I feel that she's more together than he is.
She is more together than he is, but she definitely has some issues that maybe she hasn't gotten over yet.
Well, good.
But this is an example of how not to raise your kids, folks. That's all I have to say about that.
You don't want to spoil them, but maybe don't turn them into the next Robert Crumb either.
Do not, yes.
Are you, though, babes, if you don't like his work, are you at least glad that he existed somewhere in the universe?
I'm glad that he was daring enough to show his pieces, even if he was going to get pushed back.
Are you glad that you've seen this movie, even though you didn't enjoy it that much?
I think glad is a very interesting word to describe.
What would you say then? Are you?
I am
grateful?
appreciative.
Okay.
Not so much grateful.
You're not going to thank God like, oh, God, thank you for letting me see the movie Crumb.
No. I am appreciative because art appreciation is great.
Yes.
It's good to see things that maybe would take you out of your comfort zone. But I also have a better appreciation for you and a better appreciation. No, I'm serious.
In what sense?
That you didn't grow up that way, and you don't, you're not so hostile to women. It just seemed like to him, women were just indispensable.
Yes.
He could take them or leave them. And I just thought it was very disturbing to see that. I don't believe you think that women are dispensable.
No.
Okay.
No.
You took a while to say that. I'm worried now.
Oh, what else? I'm just building up the suspense, babes.
Oh my god. No, I'm just thinking that, how appreciative I am of where I came from, even though I don't always, even though I have my own issues with things that are going on, as far as how I grew up or what's going on now with my family situation or whatever it is. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm more appreciative of it now.
Nice, babes.
Yeah.
I think people should watch this film.
I wonder if...
Go ahead.
I wonder... I'm guessing that all three brothers did not get like a diagnosis of, whether or not something was going on with their brain.
I can't speak about that because I just don't know.
No, I know. But I wonder that.
Yes. I think it's a very interesting time capsule of the early 90s. A fascinating look at an artist. And you should watch it.
Hmm?
Yes. Anything else, babes, about this movie?
No.
Oh.
No.
Jaylo.
Yes.
What did we do for dinner last night?
We made a really good veggie I almost said stir fry.
Oh my goodness.
We had, I made some rice. We also had, we also cooked up some carrots, carrots with a little bit of olive, and pepper. And what was the other thing? Broccoli, yes. And then we flavored it with teriyaki sauce and soy sauce.
And a little bit of ginger.
It was super good.
I enjoyed it too.
It was very good, yeah.
Yes.
We finished everything.
Very good, Joe. Well,
yes.
Yeah, peoples.
Yes, we did. Okay.
We were listening to the Four Tops.
Oh, yes.
And at one point, I come into the kitchen to start the chopping of the carrots. Mm-hmm. I go by you with my headphones on, and my iPad was in my pocket, and you say, "You're listening to Clubhouse again?"
Well, I wanted you to focus.
In a sense, you're right, though, because it does take me out of the situation, especially if we're already listening to music.
Yeah, and I was thinking, why don't you want to listen to this? You love the Four Tops.
I do.
And I was like, well, you have to focus on chopping. You don't want to cut yourself. And,
yes.
You know, and I'm over here checking on the rice and making sure that's all good. And I'm chopping pepper, and I'm getting ready to chop pepper, and
it worked out, though.
But it was really good.
But at the end of the night, we discovered that a good portion of the rice was sticking to the bottom of the cocoa.
Yeah, I had to find out. Maybe it's because I should have added a little bit more water because...
Do you do a 2-to-1 ratio?
No, what I did was I made 2 cups of rice.
Right.
And I put 4 cups of water in there.
And you use the same cup?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. That's interesting.
So, yeah, So, I think I need to talk to my mom about that, why it sticks to the bottom, because there are times where I did add a little bit of water and it was fine, but I have to ask my family about that. See, but my rice is getting so much better.
Oh, good.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, I think you probably just needed to put a little bit more water in there, but...
Yes, I should have done that, but it's okay.
It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It still tastes pretty good.
Yes.
I liked it, babe. So I had 2 bowls of it.
As did I.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Did. Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jaylo.
Yes.
Did you have any interesting dreams last night?
I did not, but I was out.
I was too. You woke up snoring a couple of times.
I woke myself up.
And I only know that because when I got up this morning, you said, "Oh goodness, I snored last night." And I didn't even hear you.
Well, I'm glad because I was very embarrassed. And I think I woke up and I heard myself go,
Oh my goodness.
And I'm oh, that hurts. And I can't believe I just did that. I think it was embarrassing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
it was. Yes. But no, we had an awesome day yesterday. We listened to some Temptations earlier, and we danced. We like dancing together, don't we?
I like dancing in general, and it's nice to dance with somebody, especially since I can't go to any outdoor concerts and really cut a rug, as the kids say.
Cut a rug. Well, a lot of people say cut a rug.
Oh.
I like dancing with you like at the park. And
yeah, I like dancing with you at the park too, babes.
Yes, it's super fun. I don't care how I look when I'm dancing as long as I can dance with you and we can both dance together.
Thank you, babes.
I don't like dancing with myself, by myself.
You, babes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
So I like having a dancing and cooking partner.
That's good. I do too.
Yes. And a recording partner.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Babos.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. Do you?
Not that I can think of, but that just may be because I'm not thinking of anything.
I can't think of anything at the moment, but welcome to daylight savings time. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit sleepy.
Oh,
and I think that's because we lost an hour.
Yeah, I like it better when we gain an hour. I don't like it when we lose an hour, but I don't think it'll take that long to get used to.
Plus, it's sunny out more. This is probably my favorite time of year between now and early to mid-May because it's getting warmer, but it's not too hot. And also this year people are excited.
Yeah, and I love waking up in the morning and feeling the sun come in through the window, and it's just like I just want to get out and get some fresh air.
Yeah, we didn't feel that today, but yesterday it was like that.
Yeah, it was like 64 degrees, I think it was.
Really nice.
Yes, but yeah, I think you're right. I think when May hits, it's going to start to get warmer,
and people are going to be out more.
Yes.
All right, babes. Unless there's anything else you want to say.
No.
Maybe. What do we want to do? Do you want to kick me out as soon as we end this? Do you want to just hang out in bed?
Why don't we talk about this afterwards, please?
Okay.
Nobody needs to know what we do after this.
Oh my goodness! And we have never hung out in Alana's bed. I don't even know what.
Okay. Be quiet.
Oh, that reminds me, babes.
Huh?
Your mom is she under the impression? I know that she doesn't think that some stuff has gone on, but is she under the impression that I've never even been in your bedroom?
Do we have to talk about this now?
Well, let's just say that I have never been in your bedroom, right? And in fact,
can we talk about this privately?
Oh, okay.
I really think this is not the good time to talk.
Yeah,
about
and for full disclosure, I am still a virgin.
Would you stop it?
And what? And so is Alana. Okay, all right.
Stop.
Alana probably thinks I'm being condescending and saying it in a way, but even though I was being completely truthful. But, all right. Well, babes. So, I guess you don't want me to go there with the questions about.
No, that's private.
Okay.
You know, there's a time to be private about these things. I don't think everybody needs to know about my personal life.
Sorry, babes. I thought they did.
They know a lot about us that, you know, I don't know.
Yes.
They know a lot about us already. I don't think they need to know about me necessarily.
What was that thing Chaz, Roger Ebert's wife, is saying when she was talking about her own experience with AA, about how she's more private than he is? I feel that that's kind of the way in our relationship. I'm a little bit more open with things than you are.
Right.
Yeah. See, I didn't think that was a bad question about whether your mom.
But it's private. I don't want people to hear that. It's very private.
Sorry, babes. I didn't know.
This is exactly why there are some people that will not be watching this.
Okay.
Or listening to it.
Would you like to give me a demonstration about how kissing works?
No.
I'm so innocent.
Give me a break.
What?
I don't think anyone believes that. Anyone that you know.
All right, let's see if I can figure this out.
Okay, enough.
You sure we want to end this, or do we want to argue about politics for a little?
No.
Okay. Okay. You were about to grab that. That's a sign that I think we're done with this.
Yes.
All right. Have fun.
Have fun. Bye-bye.
Keep it real. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.